Welcome to Remnant 101 at the City on a Hill Church. I'm Associate Pastor Benji Lalayan. God's remnant knows that there are no shortcuts with God. Got a couple of verses that I want to read. First, we're in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. It says, "A man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps." And the next one, we're still in Proverbs. We're going to Proverbs 4, verses 25 through 27. It says, "Let your eyes look straight ahead and your eyelids look right before you. Ponder the path of your feet and let all your ways be established. Do not turn to the right or the left. Remove your foot from evil." So not only does this message about no shortcuts with God, not only does it stem from something my dad said a few Sundays ago, but I even mentioned it myself in a devotion recently. But I really feel that this needs to be expanded on because this is so easy to do without even realizing it. Even so much as thinking that we're pleasing God while we do it. There's actually multiple principles that fall into this category of not taking shortcuts with God. I'm going to break it down in just a bit. But first, I want to briefly reiterate one of the things that my dad said when talking about this. He said that people are willing to do what God asked them to do, but they constantly are looking for shortcuts. It's the human way. There's two things that you should get out of that. One, being willing is not enough. Total obedience is required as well. Two, even though there are examples in the Bible that say otherwise, people still think that their own ideas of how to do what God says are okay, which is what causes them to constantly look for shortcuts and not even realize it. I want to point out that, like my dad, I'm still talking about separation and holiness because that's where there really are no shortcuts. Anyway, here are some principles that are covered with this category. Number one, the steps of a good man are ordered of the Lord, which of course is from Psalm 37. This one rings with me personally because growing up, every time that we would miss out on an opportunity or something didn't go our way, my dad would always say, "Remember, our steps are ordered of the Lord." Now, why is this applicable to not taking shortcuts? Because the devil will try to put things, distractions in your sight that may even seem like answered prayers, good things, opportunities for work, family, anything. But if it keeps you from separating, no matter what, it's not of God. As good as it may seem, it's meant to distract you from working to bring Jesus back, which again is all the devil cares about stopping. When you're following the steps ordered for you by the Lord, pushing away these opportunities may seem like a loss in the physical, but you will end up on top when it's all said and done because you push them away in favor of pleasing God. Number two, the highway of holiness principle. Proverbs 4 said to look straight ahead, don't turn left or right, and our ways will be established. That's how we walk the highway of holiness. It's a straightforward path that requires constant moving forward, and it has no shortcuts. And on that note, like I said when I brought this up during a devotion recently, you have to notice how verses like the one that I read in Proverbs 16, on top of Psalm 37, they use the word steps. Because that means we have to move forward. Again, it goes well with the maturing season that we're in. This highway is a combination of two things. Making sure that we don't stagnate, that we press forward towards eternity on this highway by working to separate every day, and also shunning, pushing away anything that doesn't have to do with separation, no matter how good it looks, including people that are close to us. Paul said in Philippians that he forgets what's behind and presses on toward the upward call. It's constant, it's daily, and it has no shortcuts, but it leads to eternity. And number three, lastly, there are no exceptions. People will tell themselves things like, "God knows my heart," or "He'll understand," to exempt themselves from clear biblical principles, which include being separate and holy. Abraham was one of the closest people to God in the Bible. He had an eternal covenant with him that we are joint heirs with to this day. He still had to raise the knife to slay his son to the point where only God could step in to stop him. If he had stopped himself, God would not have found the faith he required of him. He was no exception to God's command. You think God knows your heart? He'll find what he's looking for in your heart when he sees you taking action to separate and follow God's commands like Abraham, because there's no exception to those commands. And we can't allow ourselves to think or hope for a second that there may be anything that's exaggerated or different from what the Bible actually tells us to do, and how only the remnant will be saved, which is a constant pattern we see in the Bible. Because if we try to think like that, that will stop us from total separation. And people thinking like that is why Jesus has not come back yet. This remnant knows there are no exceptions. You need to be with us on the highway of holiness, pushing yourself to separate every day. God bless you.